First things first, Floor, how are you?
Good, very good. It's a good week.
That's very good to hear. I remember talking to you right before you went and played your first solo show, and there was a healthy anxiousness, and,
Yes.
and now it's the week of your first album release.
Yeah.
What are the feelings?
Well, no anxious feelings this time, just excitement. But that's also really because everything towards this release has been so incredibly positive.
Okay.
The feedback on the first singles, everything we've been kind of giving in the last weeks of the album's coming, and the excitement towards it online really seems alive, and people are very positive and excited. So that really gives a very positive boost here.
Yeah, well, what does that do with you? Because obviously people know you from all the things that you've done in the past, from Reverb and After Forever to Nightwish.
Mm.
What is it like now that people see you for Floor? Is that different? Does it feel different?
I guess in a way, no, not really, because
Okay.
I've always been myself but in a band form. It sounds perhaps different that it's under my name. It's now solo. But yet, it's still a group effort. I have an amazing team behind me, and together we made this release possible. So in that sense, but yeah, I'm the engine behind this more than ever before, and that does make the feeling a bit different, actually. Yes, yeah.
Mm. Do you feel more responsibility as well?
Yeah, definitely, because much more of the actual decision making and do's and don'ts lie on my shoulders by choice. It's my decision. I want it like this, and I have a great team once again that helps me and advises me, and sometimes really strongly recommends me things. But ultimately, it's my decision, and that's definitely more exciting. And you feel more. But I was thinking, do I feel more excited than about this release than I would be about a Nightwish release, for instance, and not really, because also a Nightwish release is so much of me in there. So, but yeah, it's an excitement on a new level. Yeah.
When this project or idea for an album started, I read in the bio that you kind of made a mood board and put certain things down. Can you tell me maybe one or two things that you put on that mood board?
Well, you create a mood board to sort of give off an idea, to communicate the thing that you have in your head to other people. And for artwork, it could be visual, but music, it's really something else. And it's the first time I ever did that. Because all I really knew was what I didn't want. So it was a mood board with a lot of, but not this, and I don't want it like this. So I really wanted to do something different than metal. Obviously not because I don't like metal, but I've been doing it. I'm already in an amazing band. We're doing everything I could have possibly dreamed of, playing wise, but also musically. So something else. I'm not a pop musician. I'm not a pop fan per se. I don't play much pop music. I'm relatively new in the whole world. So in that mood board, I guess I just could basically say, I like the chorus of this song. I like the vibe of Skunk and Nancy and energy, but it can't be too rocky. And yeah, so once again, with a little bit like this, but not so much like that. A little bit filmic, but I don't want a full-on Hans Zimmer kind of orchestra thing. So it was a really rough outlined sketch of maybe an idea that was really hard to understand.
Yeah, and I suppose as time goes on, then as you start working on it, you start to get closer to kind of the core of what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
So was there a moment in the process that you thought, okay, now we're heading in the right direction. Now I've kind of figured out, not completely, but I've kind of figured out where I want to go.
But it was really in steps also, because I felt quite the insecurity about my own songwriting skills, where I really felt like I kept my development there on the vocal end. I did not really do that on the songwriting end. It's very comfortable to be in a band with a maestro like Tuomas, but that also means, the standards, it's really, really high. I have an amazing, deep respect for his skills, and I kind of felt like, next to him, And from there, I barely dare to come with ideas because they're so incredibly basic. But if I'm gonna do something more basic, that's actually good. But I felt, okay, what's good then? So it's not great to start with insecurity. So I had to really find that, and I had great help with Joost van den Broek as we started writing, and we came up with songs that I personally really like, but we're not really it yet. They since we're both metalheads. It was too close still to being metal. It was sort of metal without it being metal. And it was somewhere in the middle, and I was really searching for a sound. I really needed feedback in that, and that didn't come back very positively. Like, if you really want to find that sound, you might need to work with somebody else. Not that Joost isn't good enough. I mean, he's an amazing person and producer, songwriter, everything. But for the goal that you're having, and that's when I started talking to Gordon Groothedde, a Dutch producer who I knew from the After Forever days. So he also has a one leg still in the rock and metal side. We worked together on the last After Forever record, and so we kind of had for like 13 years to catch up on. And then it was like, I'm looking for this sound. I have this mood board, which was my super vague mood board, and a whole bunch of songs that isn't quite it. We talked for a bit, and we hung up and said, let's cook up a plan. And let's say a week later, he called me back. He said, after our talk, this song keeps coming back that I wrote with and for another artist that I just want to play for you to see if that could be something in the direction you were thinking of. And that song was Storm.
Okay.
And when I heard it, it was like, yes. The first time I felt like, yeah, actually. And from there came the idea just to record it with my voice, just to see how it would sound like in that kind of style. And it worked so incredibly well that we talked with the artist where the song was written with and for. So could we possibly have that song? And that was possible.
Very good.
And so not a song written by myself, but definitely something I could 100% identify myself with. Also lyrically, we was like, okay, that was a start. And from there we could start writing. And the first thing we did was Fire, which immediately felt like yes. And from there, the whole ball started rolling, and my confidence started growing as I felt like, okay, yeah, with Gordon by my side, and also Wouter Hardy, who came in, also Fire, and a few other songs. It really felt like, yeah, they really know what they're doing, but actually I do too. And that felt really, really good.
Yeah, kind of a reassurance. That's very...
Absolutely, yeah.
And Gordon is a very interesting character, I suppose, because he's worked with such a broad spectrum of artists, and he knows so much within that. So having those two guys, and then Joost as well, obviously kind of help you along the way. Yeah. What have you figured out about kind of pop music in a sense, and then how you use your voice? Because from somebody who doesn't know anything about vocalists, it feels like metal is a lot more challenging, but perhaps maybe that's not the case. No,
it is not the case, funny enough. Because a song like Storm, for instance, once again, that one, it's extremely difficult to sing. But that might also be because I come from this metal end where I'm there's a lot of space to open up fully and give it all. But it's almost harder, especially on the high notes, to give that energy without giving it all. You don't want to make it too heavy and too rough or big yet. And the step right before makes it, for me at least personally, a whole lot harder to sing. And there are more moments on this album where I'm dynamically building up, but right before able to give it all, I'm in these in-between steps, but it's already pretty high and intense. That's a definite challenge for me there. And the challenge within pop music that I realize is that the structure, it's, let's say, limited compared to metal. I don't feel like I have to conform myself to a certain format, but the songs usually are a whole lot shorter. Sure. There's a verse, there's a chorus, there's a verse. Hopefully you can do a bridge based not on the chorus, but something else, and there's some time for things to happen. I saw an amazing interview with Sting about it, who loves bridges. If it's used, musically and then it's so nice to get reintroduced back into the song, and But often in pop songs, they are even based on the same chord progression as in the chorus, and that's it. Maybe you do a modulation, so the chorus comes back in a little bit higher. Geez, that's limited. How do you make a song interesting in such a, and you know, you can kick it and say, yeah, but it should be more, and hey, I come from a different background, so I'm just going to not do it. But how do you actually make it interesting then?
Right.
And how do you write a lyric where you tell your whole story, really come to the point in just a few words?
Right.
You can already hear me when I talk. I like to kind of take my time, and I'm very descriptional. But now I have just a little bit. So that was an absolute challenge for me.
And getting those thoughts out, because you mentioned storm, and it's the line I wrote down from that song is "I won't give up." So it's a very affirming song. It's a very empowering. Like, okay, life might be difficult at times, but I'm not gonna let it get me down.
Yeah, true.
And obviously, you had some interesting or difficult moments in the past couple months to a year.
Yeah.
How much of that kind of flowed into the album once that floodgate opened and you started writing?
Well, I mean, everything that was written for the album was written before me getting sick. Storm was written by somebody else.
Sure.
So those words I didn't change a single word on them because I could really feel them. I could really relate to them. I put them I see them from a mental health perspective, where there's so many people struggling with that.
Sure.
And just to find confidence in yourself and accept yourself for who you are and find power from that and say, I am that storm. Even if there's chaos in me and whatever there might be the reason, it's okay. I love that about that song. But there are more empowering songs on the album. Sure. I mean, Fire was written during the pandemic when it was still nothing was really happening. There was always a little hope, which was almost the worst of it all. The hope given and taken away, given, taken away, time after time. You're gonna go on tour. No, you're not. We're gonna do more shows than 10. No, you're not. No, you're gonna do one. You do one show only. Just the constant of that was the worst of it all, and that put a lot of my anger and frustration into Fire. Like, okay, can we please light our lives back up? Where a song as Invincible was written when I was asked to do the Invictus Games here in the Netherlands, which eventually never took place because I got double booked on the Nightwish end, which is a total luxury problem, but while I was thinking of doing that, I loved the idea of singing for veterans, and that inspired me to write the song, which then got much broader. It's for everyone who comes back from a traumatic or heavy event that's life-changing, and that eventually happened to me. So when I sing Invincible now, I sing it really different from a much more personal perspective as when I wrote the song, because then I thought of other people. And now I think of me when I sing it, and it's interesting. I could have written that song much later. Yeah.
And then what I find interesting, as you mentioned, is very, very empowering, and kind of the overall themes on the album are empowering, are life affirming, are powerful. And you yourself, I mean, you have never been shy about mentioning kind of the burnout you went through and kind of struggling with mental health in that regard.
Yeah.
So what role, this is a very convoluted way to get to a very simple question. What role does music play for you kind of in terms of mental health and in terms of kind of your happiness?
Oh, massively. I mean, it's my ultimate way to express myself and letting everything that's in the inside out through my voice, through the singing, but also definitely through writing. Even though I've been fine for 10 years in Nightwish not writing, I realized how nice it is to put things out like that and to add even more of my personal touch to lyrics. And yet again, I've never missed it in Nightwish because I can totally relate to whatever Tuomas is writing, which has always been amazing because he can write something down. It's like, yes, wow. Totally beautiful, but there's something else to also writing it yourself and giving that personal touch. But just through singing and through art, it's always been my way of expressing myself. And throughout the years, it seemed to have also inspired many others. And I realized that now more also by writing lyrics. Like, it would be wonderful, I can write something down that I want to get off my chest that hopefully lands with somebody else in a very empowering way or inspiring way, or really empowering. Like I can relate to this. Oh, if you can do it, maybe I can do it. That's also why I am quite open in my downs, because internet sometimes seems a world of only perfect.
Right.
And oh, look at my life. But yeah, sometimes it sucks, and it's also okay. And I think more and more of this openness and awareness is seeping through the cracks of the fake and the polished shiny, and I think that's super important to keep that coming.
I think it's definitely important that somebody of your stature, who from the outside looks like, okay, she's got everything. She can sing like nobody's business, and then she has everything in the world. So to hear that people like you struggle as well, I think that's very helpful. And you can see that in the comments that you get on social media or whatever. People are so supportive. It's really nice to see that community. I mean, the internet is horrible, but that...
Oh no, but not always. Yeah,
exactly.
But so often it seems like when humanity can be very negative about humanity, which is a pity, because I think we have plenty of rotten apples in a very big basket of good, though, and it's a shift of you can choose what you want to see, and unfortunately, much in the news and also on the social media is very negative. It will highlight the negative, but you can also choose to not see that only and focus on the good things too. If you could only read one good and one bad thing, this guy planted a whole new forest throughout his lifetime versus terrible news from children in Yemen. It doesn't change the news in Yemen, but it gives you a better view of the world, because there's a lot of good in it. And I fortunately feel a lot of love from the social world, from my fans and followers and floor worlders. I have a whole community where people are like a member, and we're with this world, and that's super nice. And I actually have a great life. That's a little bit where Paragon's about. Like shit, there are so many things that I dreamt of that I made come true. That it didn't just happen. I worked for it, but I had luck too. I was just lucky to be born in this age. I'm lucky to be born in the Netherlands, and I had a lot of things working for me. And sure, there are bumps on the road, like everybody has, and I just want to share them because we have them, and everybody has them. And then it's a matter of how you deal with them. But in an overall, damn, I'm a very lucky lady, and I'm really proud of the things that has happened to me. That's a lot what comes back in this album. That's where Paragon, as the title, stands for, and the song My Paragon really comes out. It's like, I had a lot of dreams, and one day I'm going to do this, and one day. But one day is today. That's what's back in the lyric. I'm already there. There's so much that happened in my life that I'm grateful for, on my career and my personal life, but even in, in how I developed myself, the struggles I had as a younger me that are already easier because I'm getting to know myself better, and that it's okay in that respect to sometimes take a little moment to reflect and then say, shit, actually, there's always the next thing, there's always the next dream, there was always something you could have done better. But just take a moment to, I really appreciate what you've achieved and who you are, and maybe even pat yourself on the shoulder and say, well done. That is something I have not done enough, and I hope to inspire others to do more often too.
I think those are beautiful words. So Floor, thank you so much
for
your time, as always.
You too, it's wonderful.